The area we call Russia today was originally home to East Slavic tribes. These tribes lived in forests and river regions, but had no single kingdom. In the 9th century, East Slavic tribes were united under a dynasty of Viking origin. According to legend, the Varangian Prince Rurik was invited to rule Novgorod in 862. His successor, Oleg the Wise, circa 879 to 912, conquered Kiev in 882 and made it the capital of Kievan Rus, the first East Slavic state. From there, the Rus princes collected tribute and traded with Byzantium. In 988, Grand Prince Vladimir Warren adopted Orthodox Christianity from Constantinople, binding Russes to Eastern Christendom. Under Yaroslav the Wise, reigned 1019 to 1054, Kiev flourished culturally. He built the great cathedral of St. Sophia, image. After Yaroslav's death, the realm fragmented into rival principalities. The Mongols invaded in 1237 to 1240, sacked Kiev in 1240, and effectively ended the power of Kievan Rus. The Mongol Golden Horde swept through Russes in the mid-13th century. By 1240, Batu Khan's armies had destroyed Kiev, and most of the Rus princes became Mongol tributaries. A period known as the Tatar yoke followed. In the northeast, a small town, Moscow, began to grow. In 1263, Daniel, youngest son of the great Prince Alexander Nevsky, received Moscow as his appanage. Its forested location on trade routes kept it safe. In 1328, the Mongol Khan granted Moscow's prince the title Grand Prince of Vladimir, allowing Moscow to collect tribute from Rus territories. Moscow's rulers, Ivan I Moneybag, Dmitry Donskoy, etc., used this wealth to buy or conquer neighboring lands. Dmitry Donskoy, r. 1359 to 1389, won a famed victory at the Battle of Kulikovo in 1380 against a horde army. By the late 15th century, Ivan III, the Great, ERR 1462 to 1505, had annexed Tver, Novgorod, and other principalities, stopped paying tribute to the horde, Great Stand on the Ugra River, 1480, and made the Prince of Moscow effectively ruler of all Russia. In 1547, Grand Prince Ivan IV of Moscow, the Terrible, crowned himself Tsar of all Russia, a new imperial title. Ivan IV continued to centralize the state and pushed Russia's borders outward. In 1552, he captured the Tatar Khanate of Kazan on the Volga, and in 1556 he annexed Astrakhan, securing the entire Volga River for Russia. These conquests made the Volga a Russian river and opened trade to the Caspian. Ivan's rule also saw cruel internal repression, the Oprichnina, and a disastrous war for access to the Baltic. Nevertheless, by the time of his death in 1584, Ivan had built a single centralized state and laid the foundations of an empire. The country's official name remained the Tsardom of Russia until 1721. Visual detail: Ivan the Terrible, rituals of coronation, Cossack brigades pushing into Siberia. After Ivan IV's death, the Rurik line died out and Russia plunged into the time of troubles, 1598 to 1613. In 1613, a National Assembly elected Michael Romanov, ER 1613 to 1645, as Tsar, founding the Romanov dynasty that ruled until 1917. Over the next 3 centuries, Russian Tsars expanded and modernized the country. Peter the Great, ER 1682 to 1725, westernized Russia and won victories in the Great Northern War, 1700 to 1721. In 1721, Peter proclaimed the Russian Empire, styling himself emperor and making Russia a leading European power. Under Catherine the Great, R. 1762 to 1796, and her successors, the empire grew hugely. Russia seized Ottoman lands on the Black Sea and joined Prussia and Austria in the partitions of Poland, 1772 to 1795. In 1772, Russia acquired all Polish territories east of the Dvina and Dnieper rivers, and after the second partition in 1793, it took even more: Białystok, Kiev, etc. By the 19th century, Russia spanned from Eastern Europe across Siberia to the Pacific and even North America, Alaska, it became the world's largest contiguous empire. Russia's vast empire faced pressures at home and abroad. In World War I, the Russian army suffered defeats and the economy collapsed. In March 1917, February Old Style, popular unrest overthrew Tsar Nicholas II. Nicholas II abdicated on March 15th, Julian, 1917, ending the monarchy. A provisional government took power, but in November 1917, October Old Style, Lenin and his Bolsheviks led a second revolution and seized control. The Bolsheviks quickly pulled Russia out of WWI and fought a brutal civil war, 1918 to 1922, against anti-communist white forces. By late 1922, the communists had prevailed. On December 30th, 1922, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, USSR, was formally created, uniting the Russian, Ukrainian, Belarusian, and Transcaucasian republics under a communist government. The Soviet Union endured for 7 decades through industrialization and World War II, but by the 1980s it began to unravel. Mikhail Gorbachev's reforms, glasnost and perestroika, loosened communist control, and nationalist movements grew. In August 1991, hardline communist officials attempted a coup. Boris Yeltsin, elected president of the Russian Republic in June 1991, famously defied the coup plotters. The plot collapsed, and the USSR rapidly fell apart. In December 1991, the leaders of Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus formed the Commonwealth of Independent States, SURI-IS, in place of the Soviet Union. Gorbachev resigned on December 25, 1991, and on December 31st, the Soviet Union was formally dissolved. The Russian Federation emerged as an independent country, with Boris Yeltsin as its first president. Russia became the independent country we know today, officially called the Russian Federation.